I had a talk with a few friends about like friendships, and usually, they a lot of people like the idea of best friends, like people who like
Mm,
live together, do everything together.
totally.
And I have nothing against that. I'm saying if you can find someone like that, that's fantastic. That's wonderful. But like, not every friend needs to be like that.
Yeah.
And I would tell them the idea of like I don't talk with my friends from college like that often, but every time we do, we like reminisce, we talk, we have fun. And I usually, so what I told them, my idea of a good friend is someone who you could spend longer periods of time away from. Like you can go on your own life journeys and do your own stuff, and then at any point you come back together and you're still friends. You have a fun time together. You don't need to be like within an inch of each other, living your life parallel just to be considered a friend.
I wholeheartedly agree with that, actually. And that's something that I just really, I mean, maybe the last couple of years started to really understand.
Mm,
Because I feel like I used to have that mentality that, like me and this dude, or me and this girl, whoever, like we had to be like, two peas in a pod always. And like
yeah.
nothing would, keep us apart in some way, shape, or form. And then, as I kind of changed my, I guess, mentality of how quote unquote the world works, I realized, yeah, exactly like that, what you just said.
Yeah.
You really, you got to retain some individualism if you're going to try to be a little happy in your life or successful in any way. Um, and that, I guess that
That's
ties in,
relative.
and I mean, the stuff we're going to talk about also ties into a little bit to our episode that we did several weeks ago on how to find happiness. But um,
This episode two.
well, it,
Oh right,
it has similar
I
themes
forgot.
in a
This
way.
is this is our 10th episode.
Yeah, by the way, guys,
Happy
episode
10th
numero
episode.
dos. Yeah, happy 10th.
Pete, can you like actually Spanish for like 3 seconds? You said dos.
Oh,
It's diez.
that
I'm
was.
not cutting that out, by the way. I'm calling you out again.
Oh, damn, I messed up. All
You're
right.
Mr. Puerto Rican
I
here.
I messed up. I messed
It's
up
okay.
bad.
It's okay.
I
You
messed
you
up
know
bad.
Greek still, and I'm sure most of our fans don't
I
speak
hope
Greek.
so.
I hope so.
Okay, so
um.
yeah, like I mean, the way I see it is if you're gonna um try to be like literally with someone 24/7, then I feel as though you may have some needs that you're expecting that
No,
person to
not even. I'm
fulfill,
not. I'm
right?
not even like. Yeah, I'm sure that seems a bit extreme, and yeah, maybe you have some things you need to work out. But I'm more referring to the idea of like you need to see your friends every day. That kind of thing. And mainly this conversation stemmed from this one of my friends. She started freshman year, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she made like 100 friends, right? She had
Mm.
like 5 different groups, international students, American students, students in her class. She was just like having a ball, having friends. And then, the second year she like talked to me and she's like, some of these friends kind of suck. And I'm just like, well, you were so eager to make friends, maybe you didn't pay attention to like who were your friends. You were just doing it. And then the third year came, and she was like, "Man, I hate having so many friends. I just want like 3 of them." And I'm like, "What happened to all your spirit the first year?" It's like, F that. And I'm just like, the thing is, like, I, I like friends, but I also value my alone time a lot.
Mm.
So usually when I tell people that like I'm okay with not having a lot of friends, their go-to response is, "Oh, you're just a loner, socially outcast idiot." And I'm just like, that's all true, but I still value friends. Like I still hang out with them, just not every day, because college was a nightmare for me. So, like social life just after the first year was 0%. So anytime I
I
spent
mean,
time with friends, P, you saw me. We don't need to describe the way I look, but you've seen me in college. I look,
I will.
I look like I was
I will
dying on the
say. I will
inside.
say very non. I didn't sign any NDAs to be fair, but
Pete,
yeah, Alex was not a happy camper. We'll just leave it at that.
um, it wasn't even like misery or happy. I was just like really busy, like to do
Yeah.
many things, socializing being one of
Yeah,
them.
that's fair.
But at the same time, I made some really good friends. Like
Yeah.
not a lot, like only maybe a select handful,
Right.
but they're really good friends.
Right.
Like I every time we talk to each other again, it's always like a joy. Whereas if you have 100 friends, that's great, but like, do you talk to all 100 of them?
Right.
And I don't know anyone else. I can't speak for anyone else, but I'm willing to bet if you had 100 genuine friends, you're probably not spending. The vast majority of people probably don't spend like a lot of quality time with those friends, and
It's true.
the time you do spend is probably very superficial or shallow.
Yeah.
But
So
that's just an opinion, from like a hermit man like myself.
hermit man like yourself. No, I mean, so would you say that you regret or no? Do you have like a long laundry list of people that you keep in contact with still from high school and college?
High
Or no?
school close to I have like two or three good friends,
Right.
and college I have like a couple friends also. So like yeah, I have friends, but not
No, I'm not. I don't care about that.
no no
I'm
no no
saying,
no. I have like friends, but I don't have like dozens upon hundreds upon
okay,
hundreds,
okay,
like that I got along with everyone in high school and college, but as far as like hanging out, I didn't do a lot of that because I had my own very small group, so we would hang out.
mm,
And for me personally, that's fine, because I know the psychology of introvert and extrovert, how like an introvert, socializing drains makes them tired or makes
yeah,
them it's an exhausting thing, whereas an extrovert is someone who's very energized when they're around people in social
yep,
gatherings.
yep.
And I am an introvert, but like I still, if anything, I'm always like the life of the party wherever I go.
Don't let your head grow to the size of
No,
Texas,
no,
man.
because like if the party is there, like I don't need to do anything. But if the party is like dull, I'm usually the one that like gets it started, because if a bunch of people are just sitting around doing nothing, it's kind of weird and awkward, And that's coming from a weird and awkward guy, you know what I'm saying? So like if I'm saying that, imagine what like all the normal people are thinking in that party. So like then I'd like put on some music, like ask some people to dance, and like just have some fun. Maybe crack an unfunny joke. My go-to thing.
We'll say I appreciate all your self-deprecation that you do on the show.
No, like I try.
You
That's
try hard to
No, I
self-deprecate.
don't try hard. I just try. Period. Like if everyone's like not doing anything, it's like okay, well, no one's having fun. Let's try to and like
Yeah, that's fair.
most of the time it worked, but not all the time. So
Okay.
sometimes I did make a fool of myself. I don't
So,
regret it because it was in good heart and I didn't do anything
mm-hmm.
like offensive or bad. I just tried to like get people involved, and sometimes people don't want to party, and that's totally 100% cool. I'm cool with that 100%. There are parties where like me and my friends just sit around and we're playing card games, and
Mm.
that's if you can even call that a party.
It's just a get together. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's fun. We're cracking jokes, we're making fun of each other. We're like going intense into the card game for no good reason. It's fun,
Yeah.
you know.
It just depends on the gathering. But
Um,
what I'm interested in is so. I guess I probably already anticipate the answer, but would you say you regret not meeting more people and having more relationships with people then?
um, I guess yeah. It's like I think the bigger regret is in college I overwhelm myself.
Mm-hmm.
And usually advice I give people, like for some reason people come to me for college advice when I was in college. I usually told them
Not the person
yeah,
to go
I
to,
usually
guys.
told them like you should probably not talk to me about this, but every end I think I gave a good answer. Every time someone asked me about like how to approach college, I told them two things. I told them one, try to find yourself, try to find what you like, early on.
Mm.
If you know what you like from the beginning, that's great. But if you don't, like try to get an understanding of all the topics that are available and try to find the thing that resonates with you. Because for me, I found programming close to the last year instead of the first year. So that's not a regret. That was just life. That was just my life,
Mm.
and I'm happy with what I have. But I could have done it better. The second piece of advice that I emphasize to my dying breath: don't overwhelm yourself. Do not, if you can take classes or 4 classes instead of 5 or 6, do it. Do not do more than 3 or 4, because because my argument is now, after like years of experience, is that even if the individual class themselves you can handle with ease, once you have five or more, suddenly your time is limited. You don't have enough time to do well. You don't have the same amount. If you had one hard class, you could devote a lot of time into that one class. If you had two hard classes, now you have to kind of divide that time in half. If you have three, you divide into thirds. And by the time you get to five, like, even if, like, just do basic math. Let's assume you're a healthy person who gets 6 hours of sleep. So that leaves 18 hours of sleep. Let's assume you spend at least 1 hour eating. So that's 7 hours. That leaves 17 hours of your day. And classes, usually, if you're taking five classes, usually that'll be 3 to 6 hours of your day that you have to spend in the lecture class, which I highly recommend. Please go to the lecture class. Do not skip classes if you can. So that leaves you, so let's assume 3 to 4. So let's go with 3. That leaves you with the 14 hours to do everything. So what does everything constitute? Well, let's assume you want to have a social life. Well, that takes up 2 or 3, 4 hours. So let's assume you ignore that. You don't need a social life. You want to go to the gym. That takes like an hour or 2 hours. Let's assume you don't do that either. So now you have 14 hours to study for 5 classes. Well, that means you have to, and assuming you are able to concentrate the whole 14 hours, it's like that leaves you with, divided by 5, roughly 3 hours, a little less than 3 hours for every topic, which can be exhausting. If especially if they're hard, which for me in my later years they were all hard. There was no easy classes for economics, statistics, and computer science.
So the moral of the story is
Don't overwhelm yourself.
Alex definitely regrets overwhelming himself.
It's the thing is, if I didn't,
But I will say it's like a half regret, half thing that you're glad you went through because you
because
know
I
to
know
never
now.
do it again.
Yeah, I know
Yeah.
better now.